Hey there, and welcome to the Weeb Lounge. I'm Nick, and after emptying my wallet, I was able to C6, that's Constellation 6, Zhongli. And after an awful lot of prep work, I got him to level 90, max ascension, and some good artifacts. Found out a few good tips and tricks, and here we go. All right, now in my prep guide, I kind of listed a few things here and there, but let's go over every little nuance or whatever so that you can get the best bang for your buck out of this character. Now, in terms of going C6, you don't necessarily have to do that, especially like the last constellation. Last constellation is kind of like a little bit of an extra survival hit point regen thing. It's not even really a heal, and it's kind of meh. So if you're whaling and really dumping some money in on this, C6 you really don't need. I did because why not? I was already like really deep in my wallet for this one. So yeah. Now, first thing is the character that you want to go with Zhongli. Now, I always say Noelle. I said in the prep guide, use Noelle. And it turns out Noelle is good. Noelle is very good. Now, why is Noelle probably the best one to go along with them? Well, for one, she's a healer. Two, she can throw out a shield, extra damage and everything, blah, blah, blah. Zhongli, bonus damage, elemental resonance, all that good stuff, right? But it turns out that when he detonates Geo constructs, as I suspected, as I predicted in the prep guide, sure enough, it doesn't really do that much damage. So it's definitely not something that you want to build for. All right. Well, let's get over to the weapons. Weapons, I, in the prep guide, said Primordial Jade Winged Spear for that attack and crit rate. Now, there's a couple different ways you can build Zhongli, but I am going the crit rate route. I actually got my Zhongli up to 76% crit rate, which is maybe a bit too high because my crit damage is a little low for what I would like. But what you want to do is build that crit rate up and about a 2-to-1 ratio crit rate, crit damage. So in all reality, I could lower my crit rate a little bit and get that crit damage up, and my DPS overall will be better. Now, if you don't have the Jade Wing Spear or whatever the heck it is, the Crescent Pike will do pretty decent, but this is going to make you formulate a slightly different build because the Crescent Pike has physical damage bonus, and I went with a little bit of crit rate and a little bit of geo damage bonus. So whichever one, basically pick whichever one's on your weapon that you're going to use and try to build artifacts around that. Since I'm doing crit, I'm going crit. Now, the Crescent Pike is good, and of course, the Vortex Vanquisher from the new weapons banner, that will work absolutely well too. But I think, in my opinion, overall, the Primordial Jade Winged Spear is going to edge things out a little bit for that crit rate. Now, going to artifacts and such, one of the primary ones that you want to try to get is the Archaic Petra. Just the 2-set. Just a 2-set on this. The 2-set on it will gain you a 15% geo damage bonus. And, I mean, a vast majority of the damage he's going to do is geo. And especially Befall. You're going to notice that his regular standard normal attacks, even his charge attack, it's not going to do all that much damage. It's going to be maybe even slightly lower overall. Having his pillars out doing that little pulsing AoE damage is going to contribute more, but Befall, his ultimate, is ridiculous. It does a ton of damage. It has the petrification effect. So the geo damage is going to be a little bit more important. Now, if you did do a physical damage build, it's just going to be his normal attacks and such, and his normal attacks actually don't do as much damage as some other characters. So even if you build for that, you might actually reduce your overall potential DPS. Now, the other 2-piece, I went with the Noblesse Oblige, or however the heck you say that, because elemental burst damage for the 2-set is plus 20%, and I decided to go with that so that Befall he generates energy like mad, okay? It's kind of insane how quick he can regenerate his ultimate over and over and over. So you don't really want energy recharge, even though a couple of my artifacts has it on it. And the elemental burst, you can go a 4-piece Noblesse if you want, if you're going to use him a little bit more as a support mechanic, because it increases all party members' attack by 20%. It would certainly do him good as well, but that Geo Damage bonus is going to make that Befall hit harder. That's the main one, just Befall. Now, a 2-piece Noblesse Oblige, the 2-piece Archaic Petra, that's your go-to. And of course, the 5th piece is going to depend on what you're trying to build and what pieces that you kind of have left over. So basically, Archaic 2-set, Noblesse 2-set, and whatever one random over that you got, the best possible stats that you can, mix, match, and make sure you're running the proper domains to get these. Don't skimp, don't jump. Don't, especially there's a tendency to dump a whole bunch of leveling material and a whole bunch of other artifacts into leveling the artifacts that you have. But please do yourself a favor. If you don't have a really, really good artifact, but you have something that it'll do the job for now, right? Well, maybe level it up to rank 6 or something, or 8, or, something low like that, and leave it alone. Don't go dumping into it. Yes, you can use it later to level up another artifact, but you still lose. You only get like 85% out of that. So, should you go a physical damage build? No, I do not recommend going the physical damage build. Do I recommend going the full elemental crazy build? Kinda, sorta, but you don't want to focus on only that. If you do only like Geo only and his pillars, his ultimate, and then you pop him out, that means you're using him as a support. Now, another thing that Zhongli has is his ultimate, Befall, gets extra damage bonus based off of hit points. Now, without even really concentrating on my character's hit points, he's a little over 20k. And do you want to use an artifact with a lot of hit points on it? No, you do not. You can get far more benefit out of a whole bunch of other things. Do not focus on his hit points. Yes, you can really, really build him up to where his Befall does just a ridiculous amount of damage, but for all the effort that you put in on a hit point artifact, it's not going to be worth it. It's just not going to be. For example, if you get your character up another 10,000 hit points, that means Befall is going to do another 3,300. All the time, effort, and materials you use to try to get that many more hit points is going to translate better into crit rate, crit damage, attack percent. Those are actually your 4 main stats: attack percent, crit chance, crit damage. Those are your 4 main ones. The 5th one, if you really want, you can make it hit points. That would be perfectly fine. But other than that, stick to those. So, in other words, if you're doing Zhongli as a primary DPS, 1, his teammate should be Noel. 2, you should try to go for something with attack and crit chance on a weapon, or you're going to have to build your artifacts around it. For the artifacts themselves, Archaic Petra, 2-piece set. Noblesse Oblige, 2-piece set. And the 5th artifact, whatever the heck it is that you want to throw on them. So, as you've been seeing in the background, this is actual gameplay footage that I've gone through and done, and he's a beast. In a proper group, especially in co-op, this guy is just nutty. But do keep in mind that on anything that is resistant to Geo, like little Geo slimes, the Geo boss, those can prove not so good. But here's the thing, like, having Zhongli along with when you're doing the Geo boss is actually pretty good, because at the very end of the Geo boss, he puts up the 3 pillars for you to blow up, right? And a lot of people have a hard time getting all 3 down before he resets and gets stupid. Well, if you have Zhongli in the group, he stands in the center, does his detonate, 2 of them blow up, and then you just destroy the other one and you're good to go. Easy win. And I'm sure there's many other uses for him. So if you pull Zhongli, take my advice, do the attack crit rate thing. Do not try to do physical damage. It's not going to work out as well as the build I just showed you. And if you haven't got Zhongli yet, but you want to roll on him, I say go for it. He can be an absolute beast of a character. And I can honestly say that even if you only just have one copy of him, that's okay. But I do strongly recommend C1 at least his first constellation. If you can get his first constellation and then save the rest of your primo gems and fates for some other character or something else down the line, that's really, really, really good idea. So at least C1 if you can. Otherwise, because that way, that C1, you can put out 2 of those pillars, doubles up that AoE damage and all that good stuff. All right. Like, subscribe, share, hit that notification button. I'm going to have more guides and all that good stuff as time goes on and as I get more characters. I'm not one of these guys that likes to theory craft all too much. The prep guides are all good and I can kind of gauge a whole bunch of stuff, but I really don't want to give you guys a huge amount of advice on artifacts and all this stuff without actually owning and playing the character. Those are just the kind of guides I like to do. So once a new character comes out and once I level them up, more guides to come. See you in the next video.